Well, good evening, everybody. I have no idea how to use this because this is actually the first time that I've done a live on Facebook. I don't know whether it's going to work or not. I usually do these on Instagram, as everybody knows. I'm not quite sure whether it's going to have any effect doing them on here. But we'll have a go. I actually don't think anybody else is here. So I'm not quite sure who I'm talking to. But anyway, never mind. These are, let us say, ScamHaters United podcasts. I mean, we used to call them live chats, but I think podcast sounds a little bit better. I've got a little cold sore thing at the inside of my mouth that just won't go, so please ignore the fact that I look a bit odd. What I try and do in these is actually talk about, oh, hi Patricia, I am very pleased to see you, and Mary Anthony Bolton. Oh, my faith in human nature has been restored. What I want to talk about, because, you know, this happens time and time and time again, like 20 times a day. And we keep telling you about it. So now I'm going to talk direct to you about it. And this is our favourite he said, she said. Scammers are not getting better. They're just getting more of them. They barely change. I mean, we find they barely change from when they, you know, used to do it years ago. Hi, Kathy. They barely change from when it used to be years ago. But there are more of them. And so there are more fake accounts. The more fake accounts there are, you seem to be losing the fact that they are fake. You know, you when there weren't so many, you seem to notice more, but now there are so many, you just think they're all okay. And, you know, the worst thing is, the very worst thing is, now my phone started to go up. Right, so now, hi Georgina. The very worst thing is they're being believed. Now, I want to tell you about some people I was talking to this week. As you know, we do calls. We do phone calls, we do video calls. And Gilleen, hi. Gilleen and Kathleen. Can't you sleep? Oh no, it's morning, isn't it? Anyway, and Patty, thank you. Yeah, so, I spoke to this gentleman. Now, I am going to say about this gentleman, lovely man, but he was 81. He thought I was very young because I'm only 69, but you know. And he's talking to a female. Now, what happens a lot on, hi Connie, what happens a lot on ScamHaters United is the fact that we get family come to us and say, please, oh, that's quite sensible, 6 a.m. It's better than, I think 3 last time you did one. Yeah, what they say is, thanks, Sherry. Oh, Connie, we love it when we help. We love it, people like you, because we help you, you remember, and it doesn't happen again. It's wonderful. But this guy, so imagine you're me, and we phone up this man, and he's 81. And the woman he's talking to, she's quite easy to find on Instagram. She's Italian or something. Her name's Olivia. And she's something like 30-something. Now, he said she was 41. She's not. And on her Instagram, which I say is quite easy to find, she's just had a baby. So she's got, because she's like drop dead beautiful, she's got pictures of her being pregnant and all of this. So those pictures haven't been used. Oh, it's very civilised in New Zealand. Oh, you see, you've got times ones down there. It don't make sense. She's got this baby. So they've left that bit out of the pictures that they've been sending him. But there is still 41 years between them. Actually 51 if you look at the pictures, but he reckons there's 41. And I said to him, I said, I mean, this woman's married and she's just had a baby. Oh, he said, no, she's not married. I said, no, she said she's not married. No, yeah, she said she's not married. She's not married. She's not got a baby, though. She's not got a baby. I said, she's got a baby and a husband. No, she hasn't got a husband. And she hasn't got a baby. And she's 41. And she lives in London. And I said, but you're in England. You've been talking to her for quite a long time now. And, oh, yes. Well, she said she doesn't want to come to my house because my daughter lives nearby. And if she came to my house, my daughter would come over and abuse her, which is probably, you know. Yes, exactly, Kathy. Bloody stupid when you get to, you know, those two. My daughter might come over and abuse her. And I thought, yeah, I can imagine that. Talking to the daughter. And so he said, well, I said, well, have you had a video call? Oh, she's a bit shy. She doesn't like video. Now, on her Instagram account, she's got, like, very little clothes on, you know. Well, Georgie, yeah, Jeannie, see, I said this to him. And he said, so I said, he said, well, what I'm going to do, he says, he's big spender, this lad. And he said, what I'm going to do is I'm going to book a B&B, a bed and breakfast, and I'm going to meet her there. I felt like saying, well, you better get your heart attack pills and your Viagra. But I didn't, because I was very nice. And so what happened was that I was, you know, everything I was saying to him, oh, but she said she's doing this. Oh, no, but she's, you know, she's, everything I said to him, there was a she said for it. There was no video calls, because, bless her, she was a bit shy. There was no wedding, because she'd said she wasn't married. There was nothing. And it was all she said. Nothing else. And I said, what proof have you had that this woman is real? Do you know what his answer was? I just know she is. Now, the guy was telling me he didn't have any money. I happen to know he'd sent 100 grand. So let me tell you the story of this scam. 2 years ago, he'd been in a scam with a young woman. Well, Georgina, I spoke to that image and it didn't get any better. And, you know, she'd taken his money and run, basically. And then this year, she'd got back in touch with him on WhatsApp. Said she missed him. And did he know that the £100,000, that £100,000 that he'd let her have, you know, all those years ago, she'd invested. I think she's sweet. And it was worth £600,000 now. And she sent him this, you know, chart showing his little, tiny little investment of 100 grand. And now it was 600 and something dollars. And then he had to contact a broker. Okay, so he did, because she said. Now the broker, he said that in order to get to the money, he had to send £5,000. So he did. And I said, do you know that if you invest in crypto, you don't send thousands to get it out? The idea is you make money. He said he had to send the 5,000. So he did. Then, because this money had been lying dormant for a while, the manager phoned him back and said, look at this. It is now worth 850,000. I said, it doesn't work like that. Oh, he said he did. So he's sending a few thousand more off. So I said, when are you going to get the money from this? And he said, this man said to me, oh, he said it'll take maybe 10 to 14 days, but then I'll be able to get a code and a key and I'll be able to withdraw the money. I said, you do know there's no money. There's no female. There's no manager. There's only a scam. And you are losing every pound that you send in this scam. Oh, no, he said, she said. There is no proof. He said, she said, and he's going along with it. Now this week today he wouldn't talk to me. So I did try and find out what was going to happen, but he won't talk to me. I wonder why that is. Because I think he might have remembered what she said, and the she is me. Because when we warn about scams, we get he said, we get she said. But how about what we say? Now the second one I want to tell you about, there is a country music star called, well this is it. He had to pay for something. The first 5,000 was for something. Then a few thousand for something else. Then, yes, the currency conversion. Because it went from whatever. But then he needs a cord and something else, which is going to be another 10 grand. Anyway, I've had a week like this. Step into my shoes and honestly you'd go mad. I think I've gone mad anyway. Never mind. So the next one is again an 80-odd-year-old woman. And she's in a scam with a guy called Alan Jackson. And Alan Jackson is a country music singer. Now you might remember that I went to Nashville this year, so I'm clued up on country music singers because I'd never heard of any of them before I went there. But Alan Jackson is an older man, but he's been around forever. And he's quite famous in, sort of celebrity circles for being married for 39 years. There's not a lot of those around, is there? So, anyway. Spoke to a lady who's 80-odd-year-old about Alan Jackson. And I said, you do realise that he is still married to Denise? Oh, no. He said they've been divorced. It's awful sad they've been married such a long time. But he's been divorced. Okay. He hasn't. Well, actually, his management have decided not to let anybody know that they've been divorced. Because, it's not very good publicity. So now we've got two things. He said he's being divorced. He said this is his management. And he's just been divorced and he's out looking for 80-year-olds. There's a bit something funny about this man. So I said, have you had a video call? He said his management won't let him do video calls because, I might record it and, it'll get him into trouble. And it's all right. I know it's him. So have you had any, like phone calls or anything? No. Okay. So, nothing, really. But he's coming to meet her. Really. Actually, the date he's coming to meet her, because this guy's on tour, and he's coming to meet her on his last date of his tour, when it's in Cushing or somewhere, I don't know where that is. You will all know where it is. And that's the last day of his tour, and he's going to meet her there. Well, that's fine, but it's a couple of weeks more tour to go on than that. So, the scammer hasn't even got that bit right. But he said he's going to meet her there. And of course, they're going to live happily ever after. But the problem the daughter has got is every time they give her a bit of information, she says, yes. No, Gina, you've got it wrong again. Honestly, how long have you been doing this? He needs cards. He doesn't have any cash. Anyway, it's as they do, I think a lot of the celebrity scammers, I stopped talking to, but you shouldn't even start to talk to them, Carol. If they say I need money, there's a brilliant button and it gets rid of them, the block button. Anyway, with this woman, every time anybody gives her any information, she says, I'll ask him about that. So she goes away and talks to Alan. And then she comes back and says, he said, his management's doing this. He said, he's going to meet me on this date. He said, that's wrong. That's never been right. He said. No proof whatsoever. No proof given whatsoever. But he said. And it's crazy. Absolutely crazy. Because surely it should be natural for us to want proof. Don't you think? I mean, surely it should be natural to want to know what is happening. Now, I know when you're 80, well, I don't know when you're 80, won't be long, there wasn't phones, there wasn't this amount of communication. Oh, actually, Sandy, I thought he, I mean, he's obviously not, he's not 80, but he is older, and he's a good-looking guy, and I've got a couple of his videos, and he's really good. I spent quite an afternoon with Alan on YouTube, and you know, he seems a good-looking guy, but most of the times you see him, and that's including recently, Denise is with him. So either it's a cardboard cutout of Denise that management have bought, or somebody's telling lies here. Now, we need to tell you these stories because we need to tell you how easily the scammers are having it out there. Because they are. It's ridiculously easy. And every time, we've got somebody on at the moment, and she was in a scam. And she decided she was going to track down the man, which you know we don't approve of. On behalf of the people whose pictures he used, we don't approve of them because really, you know, if you're used in scam, what women don't realise, and men don't realise, but what you all don't realise, is the fact that if your face is used in a scam, it's not just used on you, it's used on thousands. So actually, this real person doesn't need to know your story. And we get so, oh, I wanted to tell him my story. I wanted to tell him all the bad things that happened to me. That's a little bit of code for, if I get talking to him, something might happen between us. It's not going to happen between you, especially when the man's scared, but it's not. Respect the person in the pictures. Now, this woman isn't a young woman, but she had sent some compromising pictures to her scammer. Now, there's a couple of things here I want to say. He said he loved her. Easy to say. If he said, I'm fake, I hate you, send me some money, he wouldn't have got anything. I love you, babe, and I really need some help. Yeah, you can understand why they tell lies. Send me your naked pictures, babe. I would not send. This is it, John. Well, yes, Gina. We. Did you see the guy this morning? Oh, he was brilliant. If you haven't, get Sandy to show you which one it is. Yeah, she blocked him, which was awful because she blocked him before I got up and could have a go. Which really wasn't fair. Me and Pam had a go at him yesterday. Sandy stopped us from having a go at him today. But yes, it's awful, you know, that you get used in a scam and you haven't got a choice at all. You don't have a choice. So basically, we ask you not to, just give them. And do you know what? And people like Mary Anthony's been around, you know, for a long time, will attest to this. That years ago, this never happened. You know, if you were in a scam, you were very sad. You know, you were broken. You really took it badly. But you took it badly to yourself. You didn't take it badly to the guy whose pictures were used. That's you know, the last few years phenomenon, not all the time. But anyway, so she sent her naked pictures, and she's not a young lady. And he wanted $20,000, or he would, hi Lisa, or he would post her naked pictures. as they do. So she went to an investigator, one she found online. Got a lot of details from her, and although she won't admit to it, probably a lot of money. I think a lot of money changed hands. Anyway, the investigator had a word with the scammer and it all went away. Isn't that good? Not really, because the investigator was a scammer as well, but, you know. Oh, you did say it. He was a gift. He really was. He's a stress release. And so she believed the scammer. She believed she was in a scam. She believed it was the guy. And I still think, disagree with me if you like, Sandy, but I still think she might think it's Chris. I still do. Just in case it is him, she might want to talk to him. And because she said it was him, so why not? And money is it. So she said that she kept going with the scammer because she wanted to get her money back. And every time he kept asking for money, he would get angry when she didn't send it. And she kept going with it. Would you do that? So you've got somebody on your phone who you don't know, you've never had a call with, you've never had a video call with, you have no idea who it is, but he loves you so much he wants to come and marry you, and he's got naked pics, and he's blackmailing you, and if you don't send any money, he gets really nasty. This is on a phone. It's not a person that stood next to you. This is on a phone. Why is it that online, the ability to say get stuffed and block them just goes out of the window? Why? Why can they not do it? What makes them? I know that she then changed it. I think she's changed it 3 times so far. She then says she just talked with him because she wanted to get her money back. I am very sorry, ladies and gentlemen. You send money to a scammer, it becomes the property of the scammer for life. You do not get it back, no matter what he said. Now, let's move on a little bit. To the recovery scammer. Now, the recovery scammer is the ultimate, he said, because the recovery scammer, and you see them all across. What started off a couple of years ago as being a dozen, now there's thousands. The recovery scammer says he can get the money back. The one I really like is he can hack into his account and get the money back. Don't be silly. But he said he can. Nobody can. If you've lost money to a scammer, it's gone. It's gone. Now, you know, I can see a few of us. There's there's Sandy and Gina, and there's Kathy, and there's Gayleen down under Australia, New Zealand. And we spend all day and every day warning about scams. All day and every day. 365 days a year. And you know what happens? The victim goes back to Loverboy and says to him, that woman of ScamHaters United has said that you're fake, that this is all a scam. And they come back to us and said, I'm sorry, he said he's real. Now, I had this with a Lawrence Flores victim in the week. And she kept asking me questions about Lawrence. Now, to be honest, nothing about the photo victim's background has got anything to do with anybody else, so we don't answer questions. She said, well, he says he's Filipino-American. Is it? Nothing to do with you, Pet. All you need to know is the fact that if you were talking to those pictures, you are in a scam and you are talking to the pictures, you are not talking to the person. I don't care if he said he is. I say he isn't. Sandy said he isn't. Georgina said he isn't. And Kathy, Galen, we all say that we can't all be wrong. Could be, we're all right. But she kept on about it. Now, I think, I don't know, Sandy did one, but we've done live chats with Lawrence. It was easier to do them when he was in the military, to be honest, because when he was away anywhere, you know, when he was sort of off duty on the night, he could go to the place and we could have a video chat, which was good. We could show you the good video chat when they were away and, you know, showed them. And it was 3 years ago, maybe, now. But you know what she said? That her scammer had said, oh, yeah, he meant that then, but he doesn't mean it now. And the fact that he's in Syria. Now, this really nice Lawrence Flores, young man, good-looking young man, with a very good-looking fiancée, has come out of the military. He's got a civilian job and he's working very hard at this civilian job. And when you come out of the military, you've got so much to do. Because when you're in the military, you get paid every couple of weeks. That's fine. When you get a job, a civilian job, you don't get paid as often. Well, you do get paid, but you've got to work harder for that pay because you've got to establish yourself. But the scammer had said to this girl, oh yeah, I meant I wasn't contacting anybody then, but that's changed now. And we get this a lot. Can you get them to, you know, can you get them to do another live chat and just say it's not them? We put out masses of information. I'm going to finish on this. We put out masses of information, masses of it, about what to look for, about red flags, if he's saying military, if he's saying oil rig. And one today, he said oil rig. He wanted to go to Telegram. He wanted a blood oath. Really? He said it brought them together, so he wanted a blood oath. And it took her quite a while before she realised that he's fake. Shouldn't take any time at all. The red flag's there.